G'day Raiders family, Bourkeys here and welcome to my post-match review against the Roosters, our round 21 clash from last Sunday. Look, my top 10 will, I think, really tease out, I think, some of the areas where we were very, very good and some areas where we just weren't as clinical as the Roosters. So look, let's get into it. Number one on my list is systems and processes. We've been training now since October, November, as have nearly most sides. This time of the year, there's really not much more new structures, new plays, new players, new ideas you can bring to the table. You've got to have faith in what was started and what began with that journey this time last year. And that's the system and process we are now in. So that's going to be our regime now for the next 6 to 8 weeks with some slight tweaks. We've got to have those systems and processes so crisp and so clinical with the way that we defend, attack, where plays should be on the ground, where our kickers are positioned, where our inside runners are positioned. You've got to do it in your sleep, and you've got to have confidence and communication with the guy on the inside and outside that he's going to be there instinctively without even thinking about it. The more system and process you do of a move or defence, the more ingrained it comes. And that's basically a few things the Roosters were a little bit better than us for on the weekend. Particularly the Tedesco try, both the one with Tupou in the second half, which was it's just great football. You can't coach against it. And the one with Radley. They run those plays, the Roosters, probably week in, week out. They've done so for 18, 20 months at the start of 2018. So that's where we have to get to with some of the things we are doing. We have a lot newer players in positions around 5'8", around fullback, around second rows and so on. So we've got a little bit more time to be clinical like that. And that's a system and process. And that's where we've really got to tweak and ramp up that over the next 4 to 6 weeks to go with Storm, Roosters and the Rabbitohs. And I definitely think we can. Number 2, I've gone for Hodjo left attack. What I noticed on the weekend, and I've noticed Hodjo the last couple of weeks, and by no means is this a criticism of Josh, it's just something I've picked up on my own. 10, 15 metres out when we're attacking left-hand side, he picks the ball up from dummy half with the ball in his hand like this, and he shows the defence. He literally looks at them and shows the defensive line. So what the defensive line do, they know he can't throw a pass like that. So by the time he shows it, gets it back into his right hand and throws, it's a good 1 to 2 seconds. So defensive lines can easily adjust, knowing that he can't throw the ball in one hand out to a 10, 15 metre supporter on the left-hand side. He's got to bring it back in, then throw it. So it's just giving the defensive line a little bit more time to breathe. I don't know his methodology around the feign of just holding the ball in his left hand only. But from what I've seen thus far, the defensive lines aren't really falling for it. Hodjo is awesome when the ball's in two hands and he's looking up. That's when you really start to see them sweat, because it's inside or it's outside or it's kick, drop to the foot or dummy and go. With the ball in one hand like that, you're very restricted with the type of play you can put together. Basically only a kick. There's not much else you can do with the ball in one hand. So as I said, it's just something I picked up from Hodjo's left-hand edge play, particularly in attack, the last couple of weeks. Number 3, I've gone for Joe Tarpany. Really impressed with his game once again on the weekend. I think he had 8 tackle busts, 3 offloads. He really looked really dangerous around that middle to edge, both sides of the ruck. I'd like to see him float a lot more like that, floating to the left edge over with Elliott and floating to the right edge to help out Aiden and as well as Johnny Bateman. I think his size, you can see, his footwork on the weekend was great and really caused the Roosters a lot of issues, particularly his offloads. Guy like that, 6'3", 6'4", footwork close to the line, he's very hard to handle. He's not a straight up stock Maria Hargreaves type where he just runs straight, and hopefully 2 defenders can get him down. With Tarpany, you've got to need at least 3 and a 4th one hovering around just in case. But I think he's building very nicely towards the back end. Number 4, I've gone up and in. Now, I think it was very prevalent on the weekend. If you can pressure the Roosters, particularly Cronk and Keary, who, in my opinion, their passes, the way they set up their play and their passes aren't as slick as some other halves, in just my opinion. So I think our up and in defence can really trouble the Roosters again. As I said, there was a couple of tries. The Tupu one was just, the Mitchell one was just a fluke with the ball sort of being dropped from a bomb. The Tupu one with Tedesco's pass in the second half was just a free play. And the Radley one, Jared, whilst he came in, he didn't come in quick enough, and he didn't tell Simonson he was coming in quick enough as well. So I think if we can all swarm our up and in defence against the Roosters, I think it will work next time. Once again, comes back to the point, one, systems and processes. If we're going to do that sort of play, we've got to practice and practice and practice. That'll just become second nature. Number 5, I've gone for Jordan Rapana. Not one of his better games by any stretch of the imagination. You've got to cut the guy a little bit slack here, guys. He's probably still one of the best wingers and finishers in the world, without a doubt. He had a bit of an off day. I'd just like to see him, when he takes the dummy half runs, not drift back into the marker. He sort of gets it, runs an arc, and sort of tends to go back into where the markers are. I don't understand why. I'd like to see him start to go a bit wider and really hit an edge second row or an edge centre. If he's coming in from the right wing as a dummy half, he should be heading back that way to where the centre or the wing, or where the centre or the second row are, to really ask them some questions and double down on their defensive capabilities. But I think he'll come back big time this week, particularly with BJ back in the side. Number 6, I've gone Don't Panic. It seemed a little bit on the weekend with some of our attacking plays were a little bit clunky, and we were sort of lost as to which way to go. When you're in a panic mode on a rugby league field and you try and get out of the panic, the best thing is just to go straight ahead. Take the tackle, realign, try and get it to the centre of the post. That's always the best place to attack from, and you form your fan or you form your V out, left edge, right edge. It's usually the best way to counteract a panic situation. Straight run, try and get it to the middle of the post, reassess, reevaluate, and then recharge as to what you're going to do. So we just, once again, systems and processes. We've got to just work on, if it doesn't work out this tackle, try and get a next set of 6. But most importantly, don't panic. Don't go for the Hail Mary play. Something the Roosters do very well. Number 7, I've gone for Nick Kotrick. Really happy with his game. He seemed to have a better second half than a first half, in my opinion. He really got into the groove into the second half with his running game, his step and his body. I think Nick's a really big confidence player. I'd like to see him get some early ball against the Storm, which I'll cover in my top 10 in a couple of days. But I think Nick's the sort of guy, particularly when he's centre, he needs some early ball from Aiden, just to get him into the game, to get his footwork working, to get his offloads working. But it was a solid game against Latrell. I thought he played exceptionally well against him as well. So that's also augurs very well for the semis, just in case of an injury. Hopefully, touch wood, it's not. But it's refreshing to see that he's now had 5-6 games as a centre in NRL as a nice insurance policy for the future. Number 8, I've gone for Aiden Caesar. A solid game. I thought his kicking game was sort of okay. I felt that he could have bounced the ball a bit more to Desco, particularly. He got a few on the full quite easily, and that's just the pressure once again from the Roosters chasers out of marker or one off the ruck. But some of the kicks, once again, Aiden's a confidence player. We need those kicks, particularly with Tedesco, Trebojevic the week after next. They've got to be hitting the ground just to take that momentum out of a running fullback, getting the ball on the fly, on the full, and getting easy yardage. I felt his organisation was solid. If I come back to the sort of don't panic point earlier, that's where he's got to take control and point the boys where he wants them. I want you to the post. I want you 5 minutes to the left of the post. I want you guys onside for a grubber kick. So he's just got to once again take control a little bit more leading into the next 4-6 weeks. Sharmsicle-Hockstad at number 9, a solid game. Some of the teams are now starting to pick out him a little bit. They're putting the ball quite high, as you can see. Hence the unusual error on the weekend with the drop ball, because he gets very front on, and sometimes he has his arms a little bit wide like that. So sides are going to pick up a little few things from him. I would really love to see him now float like a Tedesco on those edges. We know what damage he can do close to the ruck with his core strength to get through the first line and get his nose through the advantage line. I'd really start to like to see him just start to hit the edges a bit more, sniffing around Johnny Bateman, sniffing around Elliott and Jared on that left edge. I think he can create a lot of carnage, particularly with his stepping game, catching some lazy defenders that aren't coming across from marker quickly enough. I think he can be quite potent at that stage. He's not the ball player yet, like Jack Whiten was a fullback, or Slater or Tedesco. He's young, and that's going to come. But I think his strengths can be really creating a second mind in a defensive line about where he's going to bob up. Is he going to get the ball? Those dummy types of plays are as critical as the person who actually gets the ball to keep the defensive line in two minds. And number 10, I've gone looking ahead. So we bombed out on the weekend, only just, but we've just got to refocus now for Storm, Manly, Sharks and Warriors. We're still third. We're not third by a mistake. We've put a shitload of work into where we are, and we've just got to regroup this weekend for the Storm and make sure we go down there and do the job on them and bring those 2 points back to Canberra to maintain our top 4 position. So Raiders fans, that's it for my post-match review this week. As always, I really appreciate this. I really appreciate your support on my Bourkeys Top 10 page. Hook me up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is up and running, Bourkeys Top 10. All the podcasts are there for you to listen to, either at work, at the gym, or on the train, or wherever you love listening to your podcasts. And as always, guys, I'll see you Saturday for my Bourkeys Top 10 preview versus the Storm. And as always, this is Berkey, Bleed Green, out.